Another Empires and Puzzles books video. Today we're going to be talking about Titan loot levels. I often see players question which loot tier gives the best Titan loot. Is it worth chasing A and A plus scores, or does something less offer something more? I decided to research this very question. My alliance proved to be a perfect setting for this research as we kill 14-star Titans every single day. In fact, we've killed over 135 in a row at this point. I carefully have been documenting all the loot from the last 80 plus Titans. Titans have a range of sizes within a star level. So within 14 stars, they tend to range from 5.3 million HP up to the highest, which is 5.72 million. As we have been killing many 14s, we only see three sizes. We see the three largest, the 5.5, 5.6, and the absolute largest, 5.72 million HP. To rule out size having an influence on the data, I eliminated the two smaller sizes and evaluated only the 5.72s. I also ruled out any rare Titans. That brought down the total data set to 39 Titans. Of those Titans, I scored A+, A, and B on exactly 13 each. Sorry, I was not willing to get C loot on any of these Titans for the sake of this research, so C loot is not included here. That said, this research is only comparing A+, A, and B loot. Titan loot is awarded in tiers, which you can see as Roman numerals on your award screen. C loot matches the tier of the Titan, so a 14-star Titan would give loot tier 14. B loot adds one on top of that, so that would be loot tier 15, and A adds another one to get up to tier 16. The top player, the highest scoring person against a Titan, will get A+ loot, which on a 14-star Titan would be tier 17. A loot goes to the next 4 players after the highest player. B loot goes to any player that gets 3.3% of the Titan's total damage. As long as a player does at least 1% of damage, they get C loot. Anything below C gets miserable D loot, which is half the Titan size. So on a 14-star Titan, they would only be on loot tier 7. I also did not analyze the data in regards to the elements of the Titans, as I doubt the element affects the loot. But for those that are curious, my data set included 4 Darks, 6 Ice, 9 Nature, 9 Fire, and 11 Holy Titans. Titan loot basically comes in a few categories: food, iron, crafting materials, Titan parts, Ascension items, weapons, gems, and other items. This includes summons, coins, trainer heroes, loot tickets, and flasks. Let's see how each loot tier paid off in each of the categories. I will go through them in the order that they are awarded at the end of the Titan's life. So for food, A+ was the clear winner here. 1.5 million food from the 13 Titans, with an average amount of food well over 118k. A and B food awards were very similar to each other, but not as high as A+. Iron, I found this to be surprising. B loot had significantly more iron than A+. B received over 1 million iron from 13 Titans, compared to A+ getting just over 800k. A loot was given the middle of the road. Food and iron, looking at just the single highest amount of food and iron awarded from a single Titan, it was A+ loot with 163k food on one Titan and 136k iron on one Titan. Now, since A+ was the lowest iron total, that meant this one-time big iron loot was not the norm. It was usually much, much smaller. Looking at food and iron again, we can look at the single lowest amounts that were awarded for each tier level. B loot had the highest amount of the lowest scores. What that seems to mean is that A+ loot is a gamble for getting the highest payouts of these items, with the huge risk of being A loot is a gamble for getting the highest payouts of these items while risking getting some of the lowest. Alright, let's look at the crafting material. These items are the things that we collect to make other items like weapons. A+ and A almost always provided 7 items. They each, at one time, gave only 6 items, but the other 12 Titans gave 7. B loot was always 6 items, so that worked out to 90 items for the 13 A plus and A Titans and only 78 items for the B Titans. Now this is where things get interesting. When I average out the star rating of those loot items, B loot actually provided slightly better items. So although I was getting not as many items for B loot, I was getting more 3-star and 4-star craft items. That means the B loot was giving more dragon bones, meteor fragments, or chalcum nuggets, fine steel, Grimorian dust, things along that level. None of the loot tiers ever gave out a 1-star crafting item, so it was always 2 or above. Now let's look at Titan parts. We, meaning my alliance, always aims to stop at tier 1 of the harpoon usage, as going further is not efficient. You can see my other video that was recently released on harpoon usage and why it makes sense to stop at tier 1. But sometimes we do go over by 1 or 2 harpoons. A plus loot almost always gives 8 Titan parts. Both A and B most often gave 7, although all 3 categories sometimes randomly gave a higher number. B's highest was 9, A was 10, and A plus was 11. As you can see, A plus topped out at 108 total Titan parts from those 13 Titans, while A and B both had exactly 92. That average star level of the Titan parts was fairly close, but A had a slightly higher amount than the rest. In Titan loot, I'm mostly hoping for Titan skulls to make those really cool scrolls of alteration. I did note that I got exactly 4 skulls from each tier level. So Ascension items, this is the big one that people get really excited about. That chance to get an unfarmable 3-star or 4-star Ascension item is a big deal. Once you get to 14-star Titans, as long as you score C or above, you will get exactly 4 Ascension items, no more or no less. On these 14-star Titans, that means each category received 52 Ascension items. Now, many of those are items many of those are items that are not very rare at all, like scabbard, strong rope, tall boots, etc. They're all considered Ascension items. Getting a 4-star Ascension item to take a 5-star to its final leveling seems to be around a 3% chance for each of those loot spots. So it doesn't matter if you're A plus, A, or B, you will always get 4 slots for Ascension item, and each of those slots will have about a 3% chance of getting a 4-star Ascension item. But let's look and see how they actually paid out. The average star level of each group was in the 2s, which is not surprising since no loot level gave any 1-star Ascension items. B loot had the highest star rating of the Ascension items, and the reason behind that's pretty interesting. Let's get into more detail on these Ascension items. The rare 3-star items that are unfarmable, like hidden blades, magic orbs, trap tools, sturdy shields, and warm cates, are highly sought after items and do not often come up in loot. A plus only had 2 of these items in the 13 Titans, while A had a much higher rate at 7 of those items. What really shocked me was B loot provided a whopping 13 of these coveted items. More interesting is that 5 of the B loot Titans gave up 2 of these items in one loot mix. This seems to give credence to the concern that A plus loot is not that desirable. Now, what about the crazy hard to get 4-star Ascension items? None of the A plus and B Titans ever awarded a 4-star Ascension item. One of the A loot Titans did give up a tabard. Since this data was such a small set, I decided to look over all 80 plus of the Titans I recorded and found it interesting that 2 of the A plus Titans did give me darts and 1 B loot Titan did give up a telescope. But again, looking at A level Titans, I got 1 tabard, 1 Tomb of Tactics, and 1 Damascus blade. It really seems that A loot is most likely to award a 4-star Ascension item, and B loot seems more likely to get a 3-star Ascension item. A plus loot does not seem like the best goal for achieving these hard-to-get Ascension items. Looking at battle items, when looking at weapons, the highest total went to A loot with 79 items from 13 Titans. A plus was not far behind with 77, and B trailed pretty far back at 68. Just like crafting items, B was giving a much higher average star battle item than the other two. With B, you get less battle items, but are more likely to get time stops, dragon attacks, bombs, etc. So do you want more weapons or better weapons? When counting up the total number of items from all of the categories, A plus was very far ahead at 327 total items. A plus averaged over 25 items per Titan. However, B loot had the highest average star rating of all the items. If you go for A loot, you're going to get more items, but most likely not better items. So do you want quantity or do you want quality? Titans also give up gems, and I found this was another surprise. Both A plus and A awarded a total of 70 gems. Basically, every Titan gave up 5 gems, but one Titan in each of those groups gave up 10. B loot, however, was the big winner with a total of 80 gems. They had 3 Titans that gave up 10 gems instead of 5. Now let's look at the other stuff, the random stuff like Titans give up, like flasks, trainer heroes, summon tokens, and loot tickets. A plus gave out the most flasks at 3, while B gave up no flasks at all. A plus also gave up the most trainer heroes at 5, with A and B giving up 3 and 2 respectively. B was the clear winner with summons coins. Those 13 B Titans awarded 3 regular summons and an epic hero token. A plus was only 1 behind with 2 summons and 1 epic hero token. A only gave up 2 regular summons in their loot. Loot tickets only came from A loot. A plus and B did not award any loot tickets. A did give up sets of tickets 3 times. One time was a set of 3, and one time was a set of 6. So a total of 12 tickets from 3 Titans. Overall, A plus gave up 11 items from these 4 possible prizes, while A gave up 10 and B a lousy 6 items. As you can see, the results do not necessarily show a clear winner here. It really depends on which items you're hoping to receive. A loot was loser in most categories except 4-star Ascension items. B was a huge winner for 3-star Ascension items and the quality of items you were getting, while A plus overall gives you the most stuff. I hope this helps you decide which Titan level you want to shoot for. Whichever is your choice, I wish you the best of tiles and plenty of stuns on your Titans.